everyone. It is 6 o'clock, so it's time for our April meeting, the City of Beavercreek Planning Commission. Since we are called to order, we'll do our roll call next.
Mr. Ayers?
Here.
Mr. Diker?
Here.
Mr. Loftus?
Here.
Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Mr. Self?
Here. Agenda approval. It looks like we have 2 items. Staff, anything other than the 2 items that are on there? So we're good to go. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as written.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We'll do that by general consensus. As we have 2 newly reappointed members of our Planning Commission, we are back to we are at our 5, same 5 as last year. We do reorganize every year to select a chair and a vice chair. So we'll open the nominations for chair.
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate yourself
All right,
for chair of the
thank you.
committee.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. General consensus.
Yes.
Okay. Now, vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I would nominate Mr. Loftus as vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I'd second.
And we'll do that by general consensus. Okay, we are reorganized. Thank you, gentlemen. We have minutes from the February meeting. Any additions, corrections, changes, complaints?
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the February 1st Planning Commission meeting minutes.
Okay, I have a motion
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
and I have a second, and we'll do that by general consensus, with me abstaining since I was not here for it. And just so you'll know, we did not have a March meeting. That's why we're not approving the March minutes. There were none. Okay, we have one item on the agenda tonight, and that's a public hearing, PC 23-3.
This is PC 23-3, conditional use, on an application filed by Joe Lockett, 221 East 4th Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202. The applicant requests conditional use approval to allow for the construction of a communications shelter located at 3435 Dayton Xenia Road. The property is further described as Book 5, Page 5, Parcel 224 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. Just so you'll know, the way our public hearings work is we will have a presentation by the applicant, then we'll have a report from staff. Once that's done, we'll open the floor to any input from the public. Once that is all done, we'll see if there was any written input. Then we'll close the public hearing, discuss it amongst ourselves, and hopefully have a consensus of opinion. So, if I'm sure we have someone here from Alta, if you would like to come forward and tell us what you have in mind.
Very good. Do I need to press the button here, or am I live?
Should be live.
All right, very good. Good evening. It's a pleasure to come before you tonight. My name is Joe Lockett. I run real estate for Alta Fiber. Alta Fiber is a formerly Cincinnati Bell telecommunications company. We are expanding outside of our ILEC footprint and growing north into Dayton. And
Hang on one second. I don't think the mic is on.
okay. There we go.
Okay, for the folks who are listening on TV, why don't you reboot?
Yes, all right, very good. Good evening. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to come before you. My name is Joe Lockett. I'm responsible for real estate at Alta Fiber. Alta Fiber is formerly Cincinnati Bell. We are a legacy phone company, but also one of the most fiber-dense metropolitan areas in the nation. And we are expanding our footprint, growing outside of Cincinnati, looking to bring high-speed internet to Beavercreek and the surrounding area. And in order to do that, we require to build telecommunication facilities as depicted in the site plan that you've seen in our application. According to the zoning rules, we need to have our use approved for a telecommunications facility. So we are here to do that, to answer questions, and let you know about, I guess, what the build process is like, what the building requirements are, answer any questions that you have, in hopes that we can get that use approved.
Great, thank you. We'll probably have some questions for you, and we'll hear the report from staff now.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. Before you is an application requesting approval of a conditional use that would allow for the construction of a 450 square foot unmanned building to house wireless telecommunication equipment at 3435 Dayton Senior Road. The property is currently zoned B2, community business. Within the B2 zoning designation, a wireless telecommunication facility is a conditional use and does require approval from the Planning Commission prior to construction. So the property currently is 1.425 acres and is used as a residential rental. It contains a 944 square foot single family home and approximately 350 square foot detached garage. As you can see by the photo, the property does have a few zoning violations that are currently open at this time. As part of this application, should it be approved, the building would be demolished. As far as the surrounding zoning and land use goes, the existing zoning is B2. All the properties to the east and the west are also B2. The properties to the north are B2 and R1A. We did have an application for that, the yellow R1A parcel to the north last year that was approved, but then the applicant chose to withdraw that application. And then to the rear of this site, we have the residential neighborhood along Arnica and Wallaby, and those properties are zoned R1A. As you know, when you have a commercial use abutting a residential use, we do have a 50-foot buffer that is required between the two uses. One thing I just want to point out really quickly is that the floodplain and the floodway does extend through the rear of this property. The proposal tonight will not be anywhere near that area, so that should not be something of concern. So as part of this proposal, the applicant is proposing to install a 14-foot wide by 30-foot deep modular building. The exterior of the building is red brick, and will have a brick appearance. And then we'll also have a generator placed on a pad behind that building. Only the generator will be enclosed by a decorative aluminum fence. The building will not be enclosed. This photo just gives you an idea of the color and what the brick would look like. The building is actually not going to be that size. It's only going to have one door instead of the two, so it'll be a little bit more than half of the width of that building, and it will be permanently affixed to the ground. It's not going to be on wheels like that. So the proposed site will have direct access from Dayton Senior Road. There is a short driveway leading right up to the front of the building along with 2 parking spaces. That driveway will be paved, and because traffic in and out of that will be rare, we don't have any concerns with having that access point in that area. We also did add a condition of approval that once the other building is demolished and this building is completed, that any gravel that's on the site, which there is an existing gravel driveway now, be removed, and that everything be sodded or seeded. So the rest of the site will just be grass area until it's developed in the future, if that is the case. As far as the landscaping and screening goes, the applicant is proposing some shade trees along the western property line in between the B2 property to the west, and then also more trees on the eastern property line, and then they have a variety of landscaping along the Dayton Xenia portion of it. We have added a condition that would require additional landscaping directly around the structure and the generator as well, to kind of give a little bit more screening there. As far as the green space goes at the back of the property, the tree line there, that will remain as is. Stormwater detention will be required by the city engineer. More than likely, it will be something very small just based on the size of this development. It'll probably be very minimal, but they will still need to meet the requirements of the stormwater detention ordinance. And then as far as lighting goes, they will only have the one light, as you can see, next to the door on the site, on the front of the building, because this is an unmanned facility. So it will only be visited, when repairs or maintenance needs to be done. So staff is recommending approval with the 9 conditions in the attached staff report. And if you have any questions, I can answer those following the public hearing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Probably answered all of our questions, I hope. So, since this is a public hearing, if there are folks here who would like to speak either against, in favor of, or simply ask questions, please step right on up and speak your piece. Don't be shy.
I guess it's me. Hi, my name's Catherine Woodruff. I am the brand new owner of Busy Beaver Arts and Crafts, which is to the left of the driveway that you see now. I say brand new owner because my mother passed away 2 weeks ago. And we've been there for 45 years. And I think piece of the community. So the parts I missed is how far back is the structure going to be, and why do you have to have the structure right up against us? You've got 1.5 acres almost. Why can't you put the structure where the existing building is?
That's a good question.
I mean, I'm concerned.
We'll ask. We'll
Okay,
ask
so
when it's our turn.
I'm an arts and crafts store, and you might think that's retail, right? But during the holiday season, we're very busy. And I'm very busy with glass, which means I have to do kiln changeouts. And so sometimes I do kiln changeouts at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So I'm already leery of going on my property, and just to have that kind of close and more shaded from the street is concerning to me. We have had more vagrants travel up and down North Fairfield. The people who are running the house now, they care about me a little bit. So he lets me know when he sees kind of people with tents and stuff, because he's concerned that they're in the valley behind our businesses, or my business and his property. I did ask that Major League Hitters come, and he said that he doesn't own the property, so he has no say in it. When I talked to Melissa earlier, she said that I had the right to be 40 feet off the road, because I was asking if it's 40 feet off the road or 40 feet off the sidewalk, and she said 40 feet off the road. So, I mean, most of the properties are 80 feet. It looks like he's more at the 80 feet. Because it looks like he's with the front of Busy Beaver. I don't know. I was not provided this photo when I was provided the details of coming to this meeting today. So that's where it looks like you're putting in another driveway access. Why can't we use the driveway access that's already there? Those are the questions I have. I agree that the house that's there is unsightly, and everybody around me and in the community celebrated something new going in. I'm concerned with the unmanned prospect of it, because I do have somebody who watches out for me in the building right now. And then I'm concerned that you're giving more shade towards the area that I occupy. I don't know what else to say. So, I mean, I would like to see it on the other side of the property. That's all I'm asking. I don't think I'm going to be able to stop whatever's going in, but the more view I can have, the better. And if you are going, how far back are we? Do we have that information? Okay, so we do have that information. Did I miss it? Oh, okay, I missed it. But nobody can tell me right now?
We'll get into that one.
Okay. I mean,
Believe me, you'll get the
okay.
questions. We'll try to answer your questions. Thank you. Others? Last chance. Did we have any written input? No written input. Last chance. Okay, I'll close the public hearing, and I'm going to start on my left tonight.
So let's start with a question for staff. Just to answer the questions that we heard earlier, can you confirm what the setback is from the road or?
So the required setback from the sidewalk, which the sidewalk isn't shown on this one. Let me see if it's on this one. So the required setback from the property line, so normally the sidewalk is at the back of the property line, but the required setback from that blue line is 40 feet in a B2 zoning district. The structure is 48 feet from that front property line. And she is correct, it does line up with her building. I'm not sure how deep the right-of-way is there. I'm going to say it looks like it's about 20 feet, so that would probably put it at about 68 to 70 feet from the edge of the pavement, so from Dayton Senior Road.
Okay, and then can you explain, as we heard in the public hearing, why the building is offset to the western line?
I mean, more than likely a preference of the applicant. The zoning code requires that the building be set back at least 40 feet from the front property line and 15 feet from the side property line. That's the minimum requirement. With the conditional use, what we're looking at is making sure that they meet the requirements of the code, and then also being able to, add some additional conditions to ensure that those code requirements are being met.
Sure.
So it's basically a preference of the applicant. I don't know if it's, to keep the rest of the property open for something else, because it is such, we're talking about a structure that's not even the size of, some people's sheds. So, that may be something, if you want elaboration, you may want to ask the applicant.
Okay. So a question for the applicant. Could you please provide maybe some explanation as to why the building placement is where it's at, and whether or not, I'm going to give you a compound question, whether or not you considered placing it where the old structure is?
Yeah, I think two things there. As far as why it's located where it is, because of the way the fiber routes are constructed, we usually look for two entrances and exits for the fiber conduit into the building, so that if one is cut, you have fiber diversity and you're still able to provide service. Because of the layout on the roads in terms of where we anticipate our fiber being run and where there are the utility poles are, that was the optimal location. Optimal from our point of view. Could we move it? Absolutely. And are we open to that? Absolutely. This is, as my understanding is, I'm here for a conditional use for a telecommunications facility. Everything else is, these are draft plans in terms of this is the concept of what we're going for. We will address kind of all that in terms of site design and the fencing and the specific landscaping when we come back for our building permit. Does that answer the question?
It does, thank you. No other questions?
I have no questions.
You'll get a second helping if something comes up.
I was going to ask some of the same questions, but yeah, until it gets to a specific site plan, I don't know that there's really.
There's no specific site
there is gonna
plan
be
here, no.
specific.
Conditional use kind of
Oh,
lives
yeah.
and dies with us, does it not? Okay.
Just a question for staff. So I know condition 8 talks about removal of the gravel after 30 days after completion of construction and demolition.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any timeline on demolition? Like, can they build this building and then 3 years down the road finally do demolition, or?
Yes, they could do that. There's nothing that would stop them from leaving the building up. If you wanted to add a condition that would require that the building be demolished within a certain amount of time after the completion of that structure, that could be done, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel, but I think putting some timeline on it would probably be a good thing. So,
Not a bad idea.
so, okay, that was the only question I had. Thank you.
Not going to.
How far back is the existing house from the edge of the sidewalk? I'm just trying to characterize this
It looks like it's
about the same
about
as
at the
the-
same
okay.
distance, yeah. All,
Okay.
either the Busy Beaver, this new structure, and the house are all on that same setback line.
Okay. Now, question for our applicant. Do you foresee additional structures on this site as you hopefully grow your business in Beavercreek? Or is this going to be one of several sites around the city?
This is, yes, sir. This is one of several sites around the city. So we've already constructed a building in Middletown. We are in the process of constructing a building in Xenia. Beavercreek and Washington Township are the third and fourth sites.
Okay, but this will be the only one in Beavercreek.
This will be the only one in Beavercreek.
Okay.
As it stands now, yes.
Sure.
Yes. And to your question on would this be the only structure, this would be the only building structure on the site. Our ownership does have some interest in us being in our sites being net zero from a greenhouse gas emissions. So potentially, might there be an interest of photovoltaic, like a ground-mounted system or roof-mounted system? That may be something, but that's down the road.
Sure, understood.
But-
And a question about the generator is, obviously it's for emergencies.
Yes.
Diesel?
Diesel.
Okay, and buried tank? Or above
Underbelly
ground
tank.
I'm sorry?
Underbelly tank.
Okay, so the tank is actually under the
Correct.
the generator, but not buried.
Correct.
Oh, okay. And help me out here, staff. This being a conditional use means that this would not go to city council unless it was, unless the applicant wanted to appeal something. Is that correct?
Correct. Once, if it gets through this process, they would be able to apply for permits tomorrow.
Okay, so in other words, if we want to do any conditioning, now is the time to condition.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, and we can condition a conditional use.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make that clear. We don't do that many conditional uses. It's somewhat different from straight zoning. If you recall our little adventure with the medical marijuana facility, that was a conditional use, and it is different. So, gentlemen, any second helpings? Have we engendered any additional questions or concerns on your part? Okay. Then I'm looking for a motion with whatever you might wish to add, and we might want to look at maybe moving that siding a little bit, since there's not going to be any more, apparently not going to be any more construction on this site for Alta, then it is kind of curious why it would be offset like that, and they seem to have no problem with it. And I think aesthetically, it's going to look kind of odd sitting on one side of a pretty good-sized parcel. So, gentlemen. What's the width of that lot? Do you know off the top of your head? It looks like around 100 feet.
Oh, it's got to be a lot more than that.
Okay. Well, that's certainly not Beavercreek. Nor is that. That's what we're going to look like in 30 years.
Oh, okay. It's approximately 185 feet.
Okay. Okay. Good. That gives us an idea of what we're looking at in terms of width and sighting. So, gentlemen.
Mr. Chair, I would like to add a 10th condition that modifies the side setback to be 45 feet.
Okay. from either side?
From the residential side, which is the required side, because the other side, I believe, is business zoned.
No, they're both.
They're both R1?
B2.
Okay,
The
so yeah,
only
we would set a 45-foot setback.
Yeah, the
from
only
each side.
residential is directly behind, and there's plenty of setback there because of the depth of the property.
Yep, I would like
And they're
to
not
add
gonna mess with
a
the
10th
trees.
condition that would establish a 45-foot setback
Okay.
from the side of either of the adjoining properties.
Okay.
And then also would like to modify condition 8 and remove the word and demolition from condition number 8. What's that?
Right, well, first of all, we need a motion, gentlemen.
Yep.
We need a motion to approve.
No, we got conditions.
Okay, okay,
add
yeah,
number
let's
10.
let's do them separately.
Mr. I'll second the motion to add condition number 10.
Okay? And, yeah, well, let's vote on number 10. That would be to make a minimal 45-foot setback from either the east or west boundary.
Mr. Diker,
Yes.
Mr. Loftus,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Self.
Yes, okay, that passes. Now, we wanted to add something about the demolition of the existing building.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd move to change condition number 8 to read, within 30 days of completion of construction, demolition of the existing structures and all gravel shall be removed from the site and unpaved areas shall be sodded or reseeded.
Okay? And I need a second for that.
Mr. I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, and let's vote on that one.
Mr. Loftus,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Diker,
Yes.
Mr. Self.
Yes. Okay, we've got two additional conditions. So now we vote on the whole blessed thing
Yep.
with the two conditions.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve PC 23-3 conditional use Alta Fiber with the attached 10 conditions
Okay, as modified.
as modified.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. And we'll vote on that.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers,
No.
Mr. Diker,
Yes.
Mr. Loftus.
Yes.
Mr. Self.
Yes, motion carries 4-1. And that is about all we have to do tonight, gentlemen. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, I will have us adjourned at 6:26. Thank you very much.